Here is the semester 1 final exam study guide answers. All right, number 1 shows a table, and you have to write a linear equation for in slope-intercept form for this information. So we have our x values, our y values. We need a slope and a y-intercept. So for the slope, I would say, all right, well, this is going up by 4s, and this is going up by 1s. So my slope is 4 over 1, because these are my y values, these are my x values. And then to find my y-intercept, well, if this is going up by 4s, if I go back by 4, I'm going to get 6. If I go back by 1, I'm going to get 0. So my y-intercept is 0, 6. So my slope-intercept would be y equals 4x plus 6, right? Now, if you put 4 over 1x, that's fine. Like, means the same thing. Okay. Numbers 2 and 3, we have a frequency table. The only thing missing here are the total columns and rows. So I would just add those in. And I would say, all right, well, 28 plus 16 is 44. 14 plus 22 is 36, and that adds up to 80. And then I would make sure that this also added up to 80, which it does, so everything is good. Now I can answer these questions. The joint relative frequency of a spectator who did not enjoy the experience but did purchase food. So not enjoyed the experience, did purchase the food, that's this one, 16, out of the total 80, which simplifies to 0.2, which then would be 20%. Box around this one too. Okay, what's the marginal relative frequency of spectators who did not purchase food? So there are 36 people that did not purchase food, so I take that total of that row out of the total people surveyed. I get 0.45, which simplifies to 45%. All right. Question 4 is similar, 4 and 5 are similar to question 1, where I have to write slope-intercept form. So for number 4, I would find that my slope is -2 over 1. And if I went back again, I would get 9 and 0 for my y-intercept. So it's going to be y equals -2x plus 9 for my linear equation. Same thing here. I'm subtracting 6 each time, adding 1. So my slope is -6 over 1. If I went back up here, I would be at 0, 3. So then my y-intercept is 3. So I get y equals -6x plus 3. For number 6, all I'm doing is writing an equation. I'm not solving the equation. See this bubble here? Do not solve. Okay, so we have a garden shop. They bought potting soil and then 4 shrubs. This was the total bill. How much was each shrub? So what we would get is 53.50, that's my y, equals, because we know the total, $4, or excuse me, 4 shrubs, we don't know how much it cost, plus the potting soil. And you could have had this, like maybe the equals 53.50 over here, but this is the y equals mx plus b. Then we have, you're going to do a segue. We have 2 Segway companies. One is $30 plus $5 per hour. The other one is $14 plus $9 an hour. When will they cost the same amount? So this is when we're going to do, that word same tells me I'm going to have 2 things equal to each other. So if I do the first company, I would get 5x plus that $30 flat rate. And the second company would be 9x plus the $14 flat rate. And again, that can be, since this is adding, you could have had 30 plus 5x, or you could have had 14 plus 9x. Those are the same thing. All right, evaluating. So we're basically just substituting the values in. So I'm going to put a -3 for x and an 8 for y. So I'm going to get 1/2 times the quantity 2 times -3 plus 6 times 8 squared. I'm going to get 1/2 of negative 6 plus 48 squared. So 1/2 of 42 squared. So then I get 1/2 of 1,764. So my final answer is 882. So you have to do the inside the parentheses first, and then you have to do exponents, right? Remember PEMDAS, or whatever you guys say, and then the last thing would have been the taking half. Okay, similarly here, we're going to put the values in. So I'm going to have 6 times 8 squared minus 4 times the quantity 2 times negative 3 plus 9. So I'm going to have 6 times 64 minus 4 times negative 6 plus 9. So I'm going to have 6 times 64 minus, well, negative 4 plus negative 4 times 6 is plus 24 minus 36, right, because I distributed the negative 4. 6 times 64, let's see, minus 12. 6 times 64, gosh, what is 6 times 64? Check my calculations here. So I get 384 minus 12. So my final answer should be 372. So we just work through the process of elimination. Now here, you could have done negative 6 plus 9 and gotten 3. Negative 4 times 3, you would still get to this 12. So either way, either of those methods would have been fine. All right, number 10, we have a football being thrown. We have this function where x is the time in seconds. The football is in the air after it's thrown. Determine the football's distance. So since x is the seconds, and we know that the football was in the air for 8 seconds, that tells me that x is 8. So I'm going to put x's in. Remember, f of x is just a really fancy way of saying y, like the letter y. Not why am I doing this, but the variable y. Okay, so I've got f of x equals negative 2 times 8 squared plus 32 times 8 plus 15. So I've got f of x equals negative 2 times 64 plus 256 plus 15. F of x equals negative 128 plus 256 plus 15. So f of x equals 143. So that tells us that that's how many feet the football was thrown. So 143 feet is the answer, right? So this is almost identical to this, right? We're just substituting in for a value of x. It just looks more complicated, which I agree, this can be a little bit intimidating, but it's the same process. You're just substituting in a value, and don't let this little function of x throw you off. Remember, that's just a fancy way of saying y equals. All right, number 11, everybody's favorite. Okay, so for number 11, I would have multiplied everything times 12 because that would be my least common denominator. We're going to clear those fractions. So 12 times x divided by 2 is going to give me 6x. 12 times x divided by 6 is going to give me 2x. 12 times 7 divided by 12 is going to give me 7. So I literally just distribute to the numerators, divide by the denominators. So now I get 8x equals 7, divide by 8, x equals 7/8. Number 12, I have decimals. I could multiply everything by 100 and get rid of them, or I could just work with them. I'm going to choose to just work with them. So I've got my wall of equality here. I'm going to subtract 1.2x from both sides because I like to have positive variable values. So now I have 2.05x minus 6 equals 3.14. I'm I'm going to add 6 to both sides. 2.05x equals 9.14. Divide by 2.05 on both sides. X is about 4.46. And I know some of you are thinking, I thought you didn't like decimals, which you're right, but because it starts with decimals, I can keep the decimals in there. If it didn't start with decimals, we'd have issues. All right, number 13, I'm going to multiply everything by 2 to clear the fraction. So 2 times 4 is 8. 2 times x divided by 2 is 1, so that's going to be minus x. 2 times negative 5 equals negative 10. I'm going to subtract 8 from both sides. I get negative x equals negative 18. I can't have a negative x, so I have to divide by that negative 1. X equals 18. All right, so remember with those fractions, just clear them. Just find the common denominator, multiply everything by it, simplify, and you're gone. All right, here we go. I'm going to distribute. Easy peasy. 12x minus 15 equals 5x plus 35. I'm going to subtract 5x from both sides to keep that positive variable coefficient. So I have 7x minus 15 equals 35. Add 15 to both sides. 7x equals 50. And then I get this really weird fraction answer, which I'm going to leave it like that. 50 over 7. That cannot be simplified at all. It just is what it is in all its ugly glory. All right, I wanted to remind you on this one that this was a negative 1 being distributed. So I'm going to have 2 equals negative 9 plus 5x minus x minus 3. Because when I distribute that, I get negative 1x and negative 3. I've got some like terms here. I've got negative 9 and negative 3, so I have negative 12. I've got positive 5 and minus 1, so I've got plus 4x, and I've got my 2 here. I'm going to add 12 to both sides. 14 equals 4x. Divide by 4. I get 7 over 2 equals x when I simplify. And notice it's still written as a fraction. Number 16, remember I'm solving for x, so I'm going to add this term to both sides. That's now gone. So I have ax equals c plus by. Divide by a. X equals c plus by over a. And there's my answer. Just getting that x by itself using my inverse operations. Number 17, I'm going to distribute this negative 3. That's why I have it circled here. So I'm going to get 5x minus 6x minus 21 equals 6x minus 7x plus 2. 5x minus 6x is negative x minus 21. 6x minus 7x is also negative x plus 2. So right here, you probably noticed that these are not, like this will never be the same because the opposite of x minus 21 will never equal the opposite of x plus 2. But if you didn't see that at that point, if I add x on both sides, my x's are now gone. So now I'm left with negative 21 equals 2. That's not a thing. So my actual answer here is going to be no solution. A very common mistake is for students to leave this as like 0x, but that's not a thing. X's are gone. They're just gone. You gotta let them go. So then you end up here with this negative 21 equals 2. All right, which isn't a thing, so that's how we know there's no solution. I'm gonna distribute. I get 6x plus 6 equals 6x plus 6. Hopefully you notice these are identical on both sides. Because they are identical on both sides, that means it's infinite solutions. anything will work for x. Okay, now we've got some inequalities, everybody's favorite. Solve them just like equations, except then we have to graph them. So I'm still going to draw this line here. I'm going to distribute negative 3x minus 27 is less than 33. I'm going to add 27 to both sides. Negative 3x is less than 60. Divide by negative 3, which means I have to flip the sign, and I get x is greater than negative 20. So remember, all I need here is my 3 points, negative 20, 0, and 20. It's an open circle, and it's going to be everything greater. And because I have the x on the left side, this is pointing to where my arrow would go. Number 20 here, I'm going to multiply everything times 6, just to get rid of that. So 6x divided by 6 is x, plus 18, less than or equal to negative 30. Right, because I'm distributing this to every single part of this inequality. Subtract 18 from both sides. X is less than or equal to negative 48. So I've got negative 48, I've got 0, I've got 48. Closed circle because it could be equal. Everything less than that is to the left. Ooh, compound inequalities. So I'm going to put my box. I saw a lot of you come up yesterday and ask me about this, and you had them around, so that's good. You were using your notes. So I have negative 12 is less than 3x minus 3. And then I also have 3x minus 3 is less than or equal to 15. I'm going to solve these separately. Add 3 to both sides here. I get negative 9 is less than 3x. Divide by 3, divide by 3. So I have negative 3 is less than x. I don't flip my sign because I did not divide by a negative. I'm going to rewrite this as x is greater than negative 3 because I like to have the x on the left. As long as this opening is still towards the x, I know I've rewritten it correctly. I'm going to add 3 to both sides here. I get 3x is less than or equal to 18. Divide by 3, x is less than or equal to 6. So then I'm going to use these as my boundaries. So I've got negative 3, 0, 6. X is less than or equal to 6. It's greater than or equal to negative 3, so then I connect them. And I know they're going to connect because this connects up here. So that's my signal that they should be connected. Now I have an OR statement, which should be your signal that they're going to go in opposite directions. So I just solve them separately. Add 7 to both sides. X is greater than or equal to 18. Subtract 3 from both sides. 2x is less than negative 8. Divide by 2. X is less than negative 4. So I've got a negative 4, a 0, an 18. Greater than or equal to 18, so it's going to go to the right. Less than negative 4, so it's open and going to the left. Hopefully you're finding lots of positive moments right now, like, yeah, I know how to do this. Yeah, I got this. All right, parallel and perpendicular lines. We have a point. We know our slope because it says it's parallel, so my slope is going to be 2 because parallel lines have the exact same slope. So I'm going to have to use my point slope form, which is y minus y1 equals m times the quantity x minus x1. Y minus 3 equals 2 times the quantity x minus negative 4 is going to give me that positive 4. I distribute. I get y minus 3 equals 2x plus 4. Add the 3 to both sides. I'm trying to get slope-intercept form. Y equals 2x plus 7. So I took point slope form. I put it into slope-intercept form. My line is going to be parallel. It's got the same slope. So these two lines would be right next to each other, just 1 point away, really. Okay, now if I wanted one that was perpendicular, Remember, that means my slope is going to be the opposite reciprocal. So my slope here is going to be negative 1/2. Same process. Y minus y1 equals m times the quantity x minus x1. Y minus 3 equals negative 1/2 times x plus 4, because that minus negative 4 is going to give me a plus 4. Distribute the negative 1/2. Y minus 3 equals negative 1/2 x minus 2, because negative 1/2 times 4 is going to give me a negative 2. Add 3 to both sides. Y equals negative 1/2 x plus 1. So that means that that line would be a 90-degree angle to this line. They would cross at a 90-degree angle. Okay, domain and range. All right, so we have these two relations written as ordered pairs. Remember, domain is the x values, range is the y. So my x values here are negative 5, 8, 11, negative 3. And my range is 3. That's it, 3. Now you could write it 4 times if you want, but it's the same value. So my range is 3. Over here, my domain is 5, 7, and 3. The 5 repeats, so I only have to write it once, but if you want to write it twice, you can. And my range is 3, 5, and 7. And I think we practiced putting these in the fancy brackets when we write them. If you don't have them in the fancy brackets, do not stress. Okay, so let's say if they are functions or not. Relation 1, is it a function? Sure is, because the x values don't repeat. Remember, we don't care about the y values when we're determining if something is a function. How about relation 2? Nope. The x value 5 repeats, so this is not a function. So that disqualifies it. If it was graphed, it would fail the vertical line test. Okay, domain and range of this kind of situation. So remember, domain is our x values. So if this parabola continued forever, every x value would be possible. Every one, because this goes on and on forever. So x equals all real numbers. But y is only going to be everything above negative 4 because of the way this is dipping down here. So y is greater than or equal to negative 4. Every y value is above that line. And this happens to be a minimum because it's a dip. If it was maximum, there would be a peak, right? And that would look like this. That would be a maximum. Okay, so the dip is the minimum, the maximum has a peak. All right, slow and steady, here we go. You guys are doing great, don't give up. Morgan babysits during the summer for a family down the street. Each week, she will earn $10 plus an additional $8 per hour. Use this information to do these problems, okay? So let's come up with a function. Y equals 8x plus 10, right? $8 an hour plus the $10 per week. Make an input-output table. So if she doesn't work at all, she still gets $10. If she works 1 hour, she has 18. 2 hours would be 26. 3 hours would be 34, and so on. Not a bad deal, right? Maybe she babysits after school, or no, it's during the summer. All right, so now we need to graph it. So she starts at $10 no matter what. And then at 1 hour, she's up at 18. So you do have to kind of guesstimate here. And then 26, 34, 42, 50, 58. What is the slope? Well, You can see the slope right up here. So the slope is 8 over 1. What do the independent and dependent variables represent? Well, independent equals x, which equals hours worked. Dependent equals y, which equals earnings. And if you're not sure how I got that, x-axis gives me the independent, gives me the title right here. Y-axis gives me the dependent, and the title is right there. How much will she earn if she works 15 hours in 1 week? So I'm going to put that in the function. Y equals 8x plus 10. Y equals 8 times 15 hours plus 10. Y will equal $130. How many hours will Morgan need to work to make at least $100? So if she wants to make 100, that's our y value. So I'm going to put that into the function. 100 equals 8x plus 10. I'm going to subtract 10 from both sides. So 90 equals 8x. I'm going to rewrite that up here. If I divide by 8, I get about 11 hours. It's actually a little bit more. So 8 can go into 90, 11 times with 2 8, so 11 and 1/4. Can you babysit 1/4 hour? Will they pay you for 1/4 hour? Probably not. So she actually needs to work 12 hours to make the $100, right? She'll make more than 100, but if she wants to make at least 100, she has to work 12 hours. Okay. Find the slope of those lines. Easy peasy. I gave you the slope formula right up here, and you will be given formulas to use on the exam. I will provide you with those. So m is going to equal 1 minus 5 over 6 minus -2, which equals -4 over 8, which equals -1/2. So that's that problem. M equals 6 minus 6 over -4 minus 2, 0 over -6 equals 0. You can have a slope of 0. If you remember from Mr. Slopeface, our slope of 0 is a horizontal line. Now if I had 0 in my denominator, that would be m is undefined, and that would be a vertical line. But because if you put in your calculator, 0 divided by -6, you're going to get 0. If you do -6 divided by 0, you're going to get error, which should be your signal like, hey, that's a vertical line. All right, let's do the slope of this line here. M equals -2 over 3, because it's the rise or fall, right? -2 over 3. My y-intercept is this 2. So my equation of a line, y equals -2/3 x plus 2. Okay, we've got a slope of 4 and passes through this point. Write the equation of this line in point slope form. Cool. Y plus 1 equals 4 times the quantity x plus 3. I'm just going to stop right there because I don't have to do anything else. It just wants it in point slope form for that point. These became pluses because minus negatives make pluses, just as a reminder. Rewrite the equation in slope-intercept form. All right. So I'm going to take this, and I'm going to distribute the 4. Y plus 1 equals 4x plus 12. subtract 1 from both sides. Y equals 4x plus 11. Rewrite in standard form. Okay, so remember standard form is ax plus by equals c. And remember a can't be negative, it can't be a fraction. So if I took y equals 4x plus 11, and I subtract that 4x from both sides, I get negative 4x plus y equals 11. Can't have that negative 4, so everything gets divided by negative 1. So I'm going to get 4x minus y equals negative 11. Cool. Okay, determine the x and y intercepts of this equation. So if I was to graph this, which I can't because it's not big enough on this graph, that's a bummer. We're going to skip this. There is a way for me to show you how to do this, but today's not the day, or at least not on the video. I'll show you in person, so maybe let me write myself a note. While I have you guys in class, we will go over this. So hopefully you paid attention during class and you have that information. Graph the equation on the coordinate plane. Again, we can't because it doesn't go that big. I'm sorry for the oversight. But you would have plotted the 11, and you would have gone up 4 over 1, up 4 over 1, and it would have been a beautiful line. So let me put that on my little notepad to talk to you about number 43. Okay. Determine the slope of the following equations. Well, vertical line, Mr. Slope Face, so this would be undefined. Horizontal line of Mr. Slope Face, this is 0. Do you guys remember do you need me to draw Mr. Slope Face for you? I'm happy to. So we have Mr. Slope's face. Hey, that's like a really good circle. I'm actually very proud of that. So positive, oh wait, no, the positive goes under the eyebrow. Positive, negative, undefined, horizontal. He still looks pretty beat up, but at least his face is, like, his actual head is, like, decent. Okay. We're going to skip number 46. Number 47, we have this cafeteria, new kinds of French fries. On Tuesday, they served 125 students. The old French fries, and then a different 125, the new ones. Every other student, 1,500 students attend high school, uses information. So the population is all students at the high school. And the sample is the 250 students, right? Because 125, 125. Is the sampling method described an example of a random sample? Sure is. In this scenario, is this scenario an example of a survey, experiment, or an observational study? Okay, this is where it gets a little weird. I would say it's an experiment because there is something being done differently to each person. It doesn't say that they're going to survey them and ask them if they liked their French fries any different, but I would like to assume that. So I would say an experiment with a follow-up survey. And I realize that some of you might be like, maybe it's just observational. They're just giving them something and they're just going to observe and see if people have comments and try to listen. So this is where it gets a little tricky. If you can explain why you think one thing is what it is, you're going to get the points. So don't overthink this. Just Maybe we'll talk about number 49 too. Let me put that on my post-it because I want to hear what you guys had to say about that. All right. Let's see, how many do we have left? We're close. All right. So here we go, number 53. This is the one that's kind of out of order. Or no, this is the page that's out of order. So this is exactly what your packet has, though. Don't you guys like this line that the copier put on there? Isn't that pretty? Okay, let's graph these systems and identify the solution. So we're at -3, up 1/1. Let me get my ruler out. Made my 4 points. I'm going to graph this. Okay. And then I'm at +2, down 2/3, down 2/3. So very clearly, my solution is 3, 0. All right, for this one, I'm at +4, up 2/1. Don't have enough room, so I have to go down 2, back 1. And then I'm at -1, up 2/1. Do you guys see what I see here? They have the same slope, parallel lines, no solution. Womp womp. Sorry, 2 lines we will never meet. Okay, this says perform a linear regression. I have not done that yet, so we'll do this one together. So 55, 56. Let's move on to 57. Use your equation. Okay, so we'll do 57 and 58 together in class as well, because I don't have the linear regression done yet. Now we're going to go back in time and do number 50. Explain why the following graph is misleading. There's a whole lot wrong with this, but my main concern is that it doesn't really tell us what's happening here. Frequency of what? Minutes, okay, but these are not in equal increments. Like it's a hodgepodge, right? So there's no 0 axis or anything, so it's a hot mess express. I'm sure you all have excellent reasons why you think it's misleading, okay? So just trust your instincts. There's a lot of things that could be happening wrong here. Graph the following inequalities. All right, so first thing I have to do is put this one into slope-intercept form, right? So I'm going to subtract 3x from both sides. -4y is greater than -3x plus 12. Divide everything by -4. Y is greater than 3/4 x minus 3. This became positive, right, because a negative divided by a negative. So I'm going to go down to -3, and I'm going to go up 3/4, and then down 3, back 4. I'm going to have a dashed line because it's only greater than, it's not greater or equal. And then I'm going to try my 0, 0 is 0 greater than -3, because this would also be 0, and that is oh, guys, I forgot to flip my sign. You probably noticed that and were about ready to ask me about it. Got to flip your sign when you divide by a negative. So is 0 less than -3? It sure isn't, so I'm going to have to shade away from where 0, 0 would be. Also, we talked about how less than would be under the line. Okay. For this one, x is greater than or equal to -4. All right, so that's going to give me that means all my x values are -4, so that's going to give me a vertical line. It's going to be closed because it's or equal to. And then I'm going to ask myself, is 0 greater than or equal to -4? It sure is. So that means that I would shade towards the 0. And this is one of those where that 0 trick works really well because it's hard to tell when it's a vertical line which is above and which is below. Plus all these are greater than -4. Okay, and I think we just have 2 more. Guys, we're killing it. All right, so 59 and 60, we're just putting this number here in for x. That's all we're doing. Don't let these letters scare you. So if I put -4 in for x, so f of x equals -x squared plus 5. The function of -4 equals negative of -4 squared plus 5. So all I did was put this here. I don't do anything mathematically with this. This is just the placeholder. This is just telling me this is the number I'm using for x. The function of -4 equals opposite of 16, because -4 squared is 16, but I have this negative here, plus 5. So the function of -4 equals -11. A lot of people forget that this is like by itself, right? So this negative stays with it. So there's that one. And then number 60, I'm going to put -3. Did I do that wrong? I think I was supposed to do -4 for this one. Does that seem right to you guys? Let's do that. Let's do this one too. I'll do both just in case you did both. G of x equals -3x minus 4. G of -4 equals -3 times -4 minus 4. G of -4 equals 12 minus 4. So you would get 8. So the function of -4 is 8. Notice I did nothing with that -4. All right, let's do both for -3 also. So f of x equals opposite of x squared plus 5. F of -3 equals opposite of -3 squared plus 5. So I'd get -9 plus 5. So I'm going to get -4 for my answer for this one. And then if I do g of x equals -3x minus 4, put -3 in there. So I'm going to get 5 for my answer there. Okay, so we just have a few to cover during class, and we'll do that, and then you guys will watch the video, and you'll be super ready for your exam tomorrow, right? All right, thanks guys. Good job.